Hi, this is the third part of the video series that I mentioned about my accident. So the first one was when I had the crash, and the second one was when I during my visit to the Austin Hospital, where they opened up my noggin and pieced it back together again. And now this is about the rehabilitation stage, when they moved me across to Royal Talbot Rehabilitation Hospital in Kew there off the boulevard. So when I first arrived, they sort of had me in the area where they had hospital beds and 4 people to a room, where we sort of stayed before we were sort of moved up to the back area where we had units, I guess, each unit. So anyway, so I was in this first area for 2 weeks, and in my room I shared this room with 3 other people, and they were all car accident. Oh, sorry, 3 of them were car accident victims or injured from car accidents, and the 4th one had a broken leg. I'm not sure exactly what from, because he couldn't sort of speak as the consequences of his injury. I never found out what had happened to him, but I know he broke his leg. So during this time, it was to sort of get you used to the environment and into the rehabilitation scene, I guess. So we saw lots of nurses. We had the doctors come around every day and check in on us and talk to us. And nurses come around, we had the medication come around, we had the physios come around, OTs, speech pathology or speech therapy. But we hadn't actually started any of the tasks yet. We didn't actually start rehab from there. So it's more like an introduction. That's the word, an introduction to there being a rehabilitation place. So we used to I got to know one of the blokes here pretty well. Well, he was in a car accident as well, and he got smashed up pretty badly with his pelvis and bones and things like that. So we hit it off pretty well, because we were from the same area of Melbourne, and we knew similar people. So we used to sneak out. Now we were in wheelchairs. We used to sneak out after dark and go out of the dormitory, I guess you call it, and go outside and we'd smoke. So it's something we do. We sort of play tricks on other patients, and I know that sounds harsh, but during the time, I mean, it's strange. It's sort of a hard concept to imagine, but we all sort of played tricks on each other, and we laughed about things, and we sort of experienced each other's difficulties, and we told each other our stories. So it was sort of part of the coping mechanism in getting used to being in a rehabilitation place. So those 2 weeks. So those 2 weeks were sort of preparation for becoming a full-time resident in the back area, in the dormitory area, in the back of Royal Talbot. So Mark and I, that was the bloke I met there, who I still know today. We moved up to this dormitory. We ended up, so the dormitories consisted of 4 bedrooms, and in each bedroom they had like 2 single beds. They had a communal bathroom and whatnot, and a communal kitchen, and a common room area for that dormitory. So it's pretty good. Then as you walked out the dormitory, had a big circular path that ran back onto itself, and at the top of the hill there was a hall, and also that's where we used to do have our meals up there as well. Okay, so where was I? Okay, so some people just walked by, so I stopped the video. So getting back, so I think what I was talking about, we had a circular path that went back up to the top to the hall, and up to the hall was the meals area that was connected to the hall as well. So this is an area that we all hung around in every day and evening. So the day would normally consist of getting up around 8, thereabouts, 8 o'clock in the morning, going up for breakfast, having breakfast in the shared area, in the meals room, and then we would start with our therapy. So my day consisted of, not in no particular order, but it consisted of physiotherapy, hydrotherapy, speech therapy, and did I say occupational therapy? Yeah, so those 4 things, and sometimes we'd have two physiotherapies a day, in the morning and afternoon, especially in the early times, because that was detrimental to get as much movement back as possible, and also to sort of just get moving. Yeah, so it was an interesting time. It was a hard time. And during that time, when at the time of my accident, I had a girlfriend, and yeah, she was everything to me. But as I being in hospital and in the rehabilitation place, yeah, you change. These things, this sort of thing has a dramatic change, effect on your life, and you do change as a person. And I changed, and of course, one thing led to another, and we broke up. Yeah, that. So we broke up, and yeah, but all the other fellas there were there to sort of give you support and be there for you. And even though we didn't have any psychologists or psychiatrists there that we used to see, I believe it was the communal spirit between the different patients there got us through the hard times, because we shared stories, we shared injuries, and it's these stories, and also having other people who understand what you're going through. That's how we got through that. Whether or not I would have been better off seeing a psychiatrist or psychologist back then, I don't know, but I think I've done pretty well with dealing with the difficulties that I faced earlier on in life, because it's been a hard slog at some points. This is. I'm just realising now what I have to say is not going to be fit into one video. So I think I'm just going to use this video as a starting point and have to continue on next time with something different, because there's so much more. The more I talk about it, the more I'm really realising that there's so many different parts that I want to talk to you about, because I think this is like the forgotten thing in society. You always hear about people who die in car crashes or accidents, but you don't actually hear much about people who are stuck with an injury and go to rehabilitation, and how their lives change and how it affects their families and friends. Anyway, before I get too emotional, I think I'll say goodbye now for now and continue next time. Cheerio.